Character Animator lets you bring your Photoshop and Illustrator creations to life with your face and voice using a webcam and microphone. But you can also enhance these performances with some additional input methods. Keyboard triggers let you reveal or swap out certain artwork just by pressing a key on your keyboard. And Cycle Layers lets you play through a sequence of layers, meaning you can do frame-by-frame animation. Together, these features allow you to add a significant amount of extra depth, emotion, and personality to your characters. Let's start simple. Here's a character who needs a pair of glasses for some scenes. So I'll make a single Photoshop layer, draw out some glasses, rename the layer to glasses, and save. When I import my PSD into Character Animator and go to the puppet panel, I'll see my glasses appear as expected. But if I want to hide them for certain moments, I can click the keyboard column once next to my glasses layer to get a text field, type in G, and hit return. And now, if I add this puppet to a scene, he's missing his glasses. They're only triggered when I press the G key, and when I let go, they disappear again. So when you add a key trigger to a layer or group, you're telling Character Animator to hide that artwork until you press a specific alphanumeric key. And you can assign the same key to as many groups or layers as you want. So if I want G to add glasses and 2 eyelid layers and a different colored hat group, I can totally do that. Or I can make them all different keys by typing in different letters and numbers and trigger them each individually. When you select any group or layer in the puppet panel, you can see extended options in the Properties panel on the right under the Trigger section. So the key field is exactly the same as what I just did in the keyboard column. Type the alphanumeric key you want for a trigger. Checking latch means I don't always have to hold the key down to show it. I just have to tap it once to turn it on and tap again to turn it off. Typically, I use latch for anything I want to show for longer periods of time, and keep it off for shorter, more fleeting expressions. But it's really a matter of personal preference. Try it out and see what works best for you. Checking Hide Others in Group is a way to swap artwork in and out, replacing one thing with something else. A great example of this is a hand. You probably don't just want one hand position for a character. You want several, like pointing, thumbs up, a reverse thumb for waving, and so on. So I'll create a hand group and put all my different hand positions inside it. Now let's rig it in the puppet panel back in Character Animator. This top one is what I want my default hand position to be, so I'm actually not going to add any triggers to it. I want this to show up by default when I start. Instead, I'm going to add triggers to each other position. So I'll select this next hand, trigger it with the 1 key, and check Hide Others in Group. I'll repeat the process for each hand until each has a trigger and Hide Others in Group checked. Returning to my scene, the default hand shows up first as expected, but when I hold the 1 key, that hand gets swapped out by another hand in the same group. If I hold 2, that one takes over, and so on. Note that everything has to be in a group and at the same hierarchy level for this to work. So if all my hands weren't in a separate group and just part of my body, that would mean when I triggered them, everything else in the body group would disappear. Probably not what you want to do. So anytime you have Hide Others in Group checked, put everything you want to swap in its own separate isolated group. A common use of key triggers is mixing it with something called the Cycle Layers behavior for triggered frame-by-frame animated effects. So let's say I want the glasses to not just appear out of thin air, but have a short poof animation when they show up. I've got a poof group right here, which has 10 sequential layers that show smoke poofing out. So I'll trigger the group with the G key, the same one as the glasses. Then right below, I'll click plus to add a new Cycle Layers behavior to that group as well. Now when I press G, I have a nice 10-frame cartoonish transition that plays anytime I put the glasses on or off. Here's another example. If I wanted to have alternate angry and worried states for my eyebrows, I'd just add angry and worried layers that get triggered instead of the default position in my left and right eyebrow groups. But if this is all I do, the transition between states feels kinda sudden and jerky. So I can make each of those alternate states a separate group, and then include really short 2 or 3 frame Cycle Layers animations to show the eyebrows gradually slanting up or down. I use this trigger Cycle Layers behavior combo all the time. It's not uncommon for me to have this exact setup show up a dozen or more times in a puppet. By checking forward and reverse and hold on last layer, I'm basically telling this frame-by-frame animation to play to the end and stop, and then when the trigger ends, reverse the animation back to its original state, closing the loop. In the case of the angry eyebrows, that means the downward slanting animation plays when I trigger it with the A key, and it stays there until I let go, causing it to reverse back to the default position. For this character, I did the same thing with his eyelids. Inside the eyes, I have a group called lids, and in that group are several lid positions, each with a key trigger with hide others in group checked and a cycle layers behavior. This gives me a wide range of options to choose from while performing for more expressive eyes. And then I can combine the eyelids and eyebrows with the same key trigger, working together to help convey an emotion. One final thing to note. In Illustrator or Photoshop, the visibility toggle determines if you see a layer or not. But in Character Animator, visibility is more fluid, so it's treated a little differently. Even if something is hidden, it can still be factored into the puppet's form, so it's a best practice to delete any unnecessary layers before importing. For key triggers with hide others in group checked, only one trigger will show up at a time. As you toggle between states, others in the group will automatically hide, just like they would in the scene itself. And for normal key triggers without hide others checked, their visibility really doesn't matter. They'll be hidden by default in your scene, so feel free to toggle them off if they're getting in the way of your rigging. If you want to check out this animated fox puppet and a wide range of other free example puppets with keyboard triggers and cycle layers, check out the links in the video description below. Thanks for watching, good luck, and have fun!